First contact gone wrong. The Galactic Coalition had existed for millennia, uniting thousands of spacefaring species under a banner of mutual cooperation and advancement. Their exploration vessels had charted countless worlds, making peaceful contact with hundreds of emerging civilizations. They prided themselves on their diplomatic approach, until they met humans. Earth's first interstellar vessel, the Pioneer, emerged from the newly developed Fold space drive in the outer reaches of the Proxima Centauri system. Its crew of 12 represented humanity's greatest achievement, the ability to travel between stars. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge, eyes wide with wonder as her ship detected the massive Coalition survey vessel hovering near the system's outer asteroid belt. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of Earth Vessel Pioneer. We come in peace and friendship," she broadcast on all frequencies, following first contact protocols developed over decades of theoretical xenopolitics. The Coalition ship, commanded by High Observer Krell Teth of the arthropodal Vesperi species, responded with caution. His species had evolved from hive-minded predators, and something about the human vessel triggered ancient instincts. The Pioneer's energy signatures were unlike anything in Coalition records: unstable, powerful, and potentially devastating if weaponized. "Quarantine protocols," Krell Teth ordered, his mandibles clicking rapidly. "These humans must be contained until we understand their technology." What followed was recorded in Coalition archives as the Proxima Incident, a tragic misunderstanding that would shape interstellar relations for centuries. The Coalition vessel attempted to capture the Pioneer using a tractor field. Captain Vasquez, interpreting this as an attack, activated the emergency Fold space return protocol. The resulting energy cascade tore through both vessels. The Pioneer was lost with all hands. The Coalition ship barely limped home. Krell Teth, facing the Coalition Council, presented his findings. "These humans possess technology they barely understand. Their Fold space drive creates instabilities in reality itself. They are dangerous, unpredictable, and must be controlled before they develop further." The Council agreed. A preemptive operation was authorized against the human colony on Mars, not to destroy, but to demonstrate Coalition power and force humanity into a subservient position within the galactic community. It was standard procedure for bringing potentially dangerous species to heel. The Coalition strike force arrived over Mars 3 months later. Their demands were simple: surrender all Fold space technology and accept Coalition oversight. When the colonial governor refused, they disabled the colony's defense systems with surgical precision and landed troops to seize the technology by force. What they hadn't expected was the human response. The colonists fought with a ferocity that shocked even veteran Coalition commanders. When the dust settled, 17,000 humans lay dead, along with 300 Coalition soldiers. The technology was secured, and the Coalition force departed, certain they had made their point. They were wrong. 6 months passed. The Coalition considered the human problem solved. Then a Coalition outpost in the Epsilon Eridani system went silent. Investigation teams found nothing but empty corridors and discarded weapons. No bodies, no survivors, no explanation. 2 weeks later, it happened again at a mining facility in the Ta City system. Then a military installation near Sirius. Each time, the pattern was the same. No distress calls, no signs of battle, just empty facilities and a single message left on remaining computer systems: "We take no prisoners." The Coalition Council convened an emergency session. Intelligence operatives presented a disturbing revelation. Humanity had not only recreated their Fold space technology, but had perfected it. Human vessels could now appear without warning, strike without mercy, and vanish without trace. "They're not fighting for territory or resources," explained the intelligence chief. "They're eliminating what they perceive as threats with surgical precision. No civilian targets have been struck, only military installations and outposts involved in the Mars operation." On Earth, the United Defense Force had emerged from the ashes of the Mars colony. While publicly, Earth's government spoke of peaceful intentions and diplomatic solutions, the UDF operated in shadows, building a fleet of ghost ships designed for a single purpose: to ensure humanity would never be vulnerable again. Commander Talia Hayes stood on the bridge of the UDF Nemesis, the most advanced warship humanity had ever built. At 42, Hayes had lost her family in the Mars attack. Now she commanded a vessel that could appear anywhere in known space without warning, strike with devastating precision, and vanish before a response could be mounted. "Status report," she ordered, her voice carrying the calm certainty that had made her legendary among the UDF's elite ghost crews. "All systems optimal, Commander," her executive officer replied. "Target is in range. Coalition military outpost KK-7, confirmed involvement in Mars, 63 personnel aboard." Hayes nodded once. "Initiate ghost protocol. Weapons hot. Remember the rule." Throughout the ship, crew members touched the black armbands they all wore, emblazoned with the coordinates of Mars and the words, "We take no prisoners." It wasn't just a threat. It was a promise. The Nemesis slipped into real space less than a kilometer from the Coalition outpost, its stealth systems rendering it nearly invisible. Before the outpost could raise alarms, precision strikes disabled its communication arrays and defense systems. Then came the boarding pods, silent, swift, and carrying UDF ghost teams in reactive armor. What happened next would soon become the stuff of terrified whispers throughout Coalition space. The ghost teams moved through the outpost with mechanized efficiency. There were no demands for surrender, no opportunities for negotiation. Coalition personnel were eliminated with clinical precision. Within 20 minutes, the outpost was silent. As the ghost teams returned to the Nemesis, they left behind their calling card: a quantum data package containing images of the Mars colony massacre and the simple message that was becoming humanity's interstellar reputation: "We take no prisoners." Across Coalition space, fear spread faster than light. Stories circulated of human vessels appearing without warning, of silent soldiers in black armor who moved like shadows, of entire outposts emptied in minutes. The one rule became common knowledge: never board a human vessel. Never threaten a human world. The consequences were absolute. In the Coalition Council, debate raged. Some advocated for a full-scale military response, arguing that humans must be eliminated before they became an even greater threat. Others urged caution, pointing out that human attacks had been limited to targets connected to the Mars incident. Grand Admiral Zervac of the militant Ordosi faction rose to address the council. His species evolved from apex predators, and retreat was anathema to their cultural psychology. "These humans must learn their place," he declared, his dorsal spines flaring with conviction. "They are primitive mammals who have stumbled upon advanced technology. Their so-called one rule is nothing but intimidation. I propose a decisive demonstration of Coalition power. We will capture a human vessel, extract their fold space secrets, and show them that their rule means nothing." Despite objections from more cautious council members, Zervac's proposal was approved. A task force of 7 battlecruisers was assembled under his command, equipped with the latest in Coalition military technology. Their mission: intercept and capture the UDF patrol vessel Harbinger, known to be operating near the disputed boundary of what humans now called protected space. As the Coalition fleet departed, a junior analyst in the intelligence division made a disturbing discovery. Reviewing records of all human encounters, she identified a pattern. Human vessels never traveled alone. Where one was visible, at least one more lurked nearby, cloaked and ready. She filed an urgent report, but it was buried beneath bureaucratic protocols. By the time it reached the proper authorities, Grand Admiral Zervac's fleet was already moving into position. The trap was set, but not for the humans. Commander Hayes received the intelligence with her usual calm demeanor. The Coalition was planning to test the one rule. She would ensure they learned why breaking it was a fatal mistake. "Prepare the Nemesis," she ordered, "and alert the ghost teams. It seems some in the coalition require a more emphatic demonstration. The Harbinger, a small patrol vessel with a crew of 30, continued its scheduled route, seemingly unaware of the approaching threat. Behind it, cloaked in the darkness between stars, the Nemesis waited. The breaking point. Grand Admiral Zhervac watched from the command deck of his flagship, the Indomitable, as the human vessel Harbinger appeared on long-range sensors. The ship was smaller than he had anticipated, barely a quarter the size of his smallest cruiser. This would be even easier than he had projected. "Prepare the capture fields," he ordered, mandibles clicking in anticipation. "I want that vessel disabled but intact. Remember, we need prisoners for interrogation." The Coalition fleet moved with practiced precision, emerging from the shadow of a gas giant to encircle the human patrol ship. Energy webs designed to disable rather than destroy stretched between the massive battlecruisers, creating an inescapable net. Aboard the Harbinger, Captain Soren Ellis observed the approaching Coalition vessels with deliberate calm. "They're moving into standard capture formation," his tactical officer reported. 7 vessels, full military configuration. Ellis nodded, brushing a hand across the Mars Memorial patch on his uniform. "Send the warning. Once only." A simple message broadcast on all frequencies. "Coalition vessels, be advised. Attempted boarding of human ships violates the one rule. Withdraw immediately." On the Indomitable, Zhervac received the message with a dismissive gesture. Such arrogance from a cornered prey. "Proceed with capture operations." The Coalition vessels fired their disabling pulse simultaneously. The Harbinger's engines flickered and died as the ship drifted helplessly in space. Boarding shuttles launched from 3 of the Coalition vessels, each carrying elite boarding teams selected from the most aggressive species in the Coalition. "The human vessel is disabled," reported Zhervac's second-in-command. "Boarding teams will have access in approximately 7 minutes." "Excellent," the Admiral responded. "Once we have their crew and their technology, this one-rule nonsense will be finished. The Council will see that humans respond to strength, not diplomacy." What happened next would be debated in Coalition strategic circles for decades. As the boarding shuttles approached the disabled Harbinger, sensors detected a spatial distortion directly behind a Coalition fleet. Before alarms could sound, the UDF Nemesis materialized, its advanced fold space drive allowing it to appear precisely where it would be most devastating. The Nemesis was twice the size of the Harbinger, its hull covered in light-absorbing material that made it appear as a ship-shaped void against the stars. Without warning or communication, it fired, not at the Coalition vessels, but at their boarding shuttles. 3 precision strikes, 3 explosions. No survivors. Zhervac roared in fury. "All vessels, combat formation. Destroy that human ship." But the Nemesis wasn't targeting the Coalition vessels themselves. Instead, it fired specialized boarding torpedoes, 20 in total, each containing a 5-person ghost team in full battle armor. The torpedoes pierced the hulls of all 7 Coalition ships simultaneously, bypassing outer defenses with targeted fold space jumps. What followed was not a battle, but a massacre. The ghost teams moved through the Coalition vessels with terrible efficiency. They didn't take control of systems or attempt to capture the ships. They simply eliminated every living being they encountered. On the Indomitable's bridge, chaos reigned as reports flooded in from all decks. Intruders on levels 3 through 17. Engineering is not responding. Weapons systems offline. They're everywhere. Zhervac grabbed a weapon, determined to fight these humans himself. He had barely taken 3 steps when the bridge doors melted inward. 5 figures in matte black armor stepped through, their helmets revealing nothing but reflective surfaces where faces should be. The lead figure approached Zhervac directly. "Grand Admiral Zhervac," a synthesized voice stated, "by authority of the United Defense Force, and in accordance with the Mars protocols, you are held responsible for violation of the one rule." Zhervac raised his weapon, but a precise shot removed his arm at the shoulder. He fell to his knees, mandibles clicking in agony and rage. Why? He demanded. Why this response? We merely sought to capture one small vessel. The Ghost team leader removed her helmet, revealing the face of Commander Talia Hayes. Her expression showed neither anger nor satisfaction, only resolute purpose. Because you still don't understand, she said quietly. Let me educate you. A holographic display activated between them, showing images that Jervak recognized from intelligence briefings. The Mars colony before the Coalition attack. Families, children, civilians going about their lives. When your Coalition attacked Mars, Hayes continued, you didn't just kill soldiers. You killed families, children, people who had surrendered. You took no prisoners. You executed them to make a point. The images shifted to show the aftermath. The mass graves, the execution sites, the destroyed habitats. 17,000 civilians, Hayes said, her voice now carrying an edge of steel. So we made a promise. Every ship, every colony, every outpost involved in that massacre would answer for it. We would show the same mercy you showed Mars. Jervak's species could not pale, but the realization that washed over him was visible even through his alien features. The rule, it wasn't a threat. It was retribution. Hayes nodded once. Humanity tried diplomacy. We broadcast peace when our first ship met yours. Your coalition responded with violence against civilians, so we adopted your methods. Admiral, the difference is, we're better at them. Throughout Coalition space, the same scene was repeating on 6 other vessels. Ghost teams had secured each ship, eliminated all resistance, and left only the commanding officers alive, just long enough to understand why they were dying. Back on the Nemesis, Hayes watched as the Coalition vessels drifted, lifeless. The Harbinger had already recovered and moved into formation alongside its larger sister ship. Send the final message, Hayes ordered. Across every Coalition communication channel, on every emergency frequency, a single transmission broadcast. The Mars debt is now paid in full. The one rule remains. We take no prisoners because you took ours. Remember, in the aftermath, the Coalition Council convened an emergency session unlike any in its history. The loss of 7 battlecruisers and over 12,000 personnel had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. But more disturbing was the evidence recovered from the Indomitable's data cores. Complete records of the Mars atrocities that Coalition leadership had concealed from their own people. Krell-Teth, the High Observer whose initial report had led to the Mars operation, faced the Council in disgrace. We misunderstood them fundamentally, he admitted. Humans do not fight for conquest or domination. They fight for retribution when wronged, and they fight with absolute commitment. A new approach was needed. After heated debate, the Council authorized an unprecedented diplomatic mission, not to demand human compliance, but to request reconciliation. The mission would be led by representatives from species who had opposed the Mars operation, carrying a formal acknowledgement of wrongdoing and an offer of reparations. When the Coalition diplomatic vessel approached Earth space, it was met by a UDF escort. To the Coalition representatives' surprise, they were not destroyed or captured, but guided safely to Earth's orbital diplomatic station. Commander Hayes herself was present at the meeting. We have come to acknowledge a great wrong, the Coalition representative began, and to offer what amends we can. Hayes listened silently as the Coalition admitted its crimes, offered reparations, and proposed a new beginning. When they finished, she spoke words that would define interstellar relations for generations to come. Humanity doesn't seek dominance or territory. We seek only to exist without threat. The one rule was born of necessity, not desire. If your Coalition truly wants peace, then understand this. We will meet friendship with friendship, cooperation with cooperation, and threat with absolute response. In the decades that followed, a wary peace emerged. The Coalition never again tested the one rule directly, though occasional incidents occurred when new species joined the galactic community and had to learn the lesson themselves. Human ships continued to patrol their expanding territory, each vessel carrying the Mars Memorial and the simple warning that had become known throughout the galaxy. We take no prisoners. It wasn't a threat. It was history, a reminder of what happens when diplomacy fails and civilians become targets, a line drawn in the stars that said, "Never again." The one rule became the foundation of a new understanding between species, not mutual fear, but mutual respect. The knowledge that some lines, once crossed, change everything that follows. The UDF Nemesis eventually became a museum ship, orbiting the rebuilt Mars colony as a silent guardian. Commander Hayes served for 20 more years before retiring to write the definitive account of the Mars incident and its aftermath. Her book, titled simply The Rule, became required reading at both Earth and Coalition diplomatic academies. In time, humans and the many species of the Coalition learned to work together, even to trust one another. But they never forgot. And the one rule remained, etched into the consciousness of every spacefaring civilization. Never board a human vessel. They do not take prisoners. Because some lessons must only be taught once.